is complete. Oh, it lives and it breathes. Don't try to walk, just get steady on your feet. Look into my eyes.
I've always dreamed about doing something a little bit different, a little bit daunting. It's been in my head now for a while, finding ways to escape the everyday, to explore the environment and to break free from the monotony of repetitive streets and familiar trails. I wanted something pure, something dependent on my own ability but with a twist of pressure to keep me striving for adventure.
Take a step, hold my hand and walk with me. One more deep breath, for I am ruler over thee. Has this day arrived? Oh my God, it's alive.
Okay, so we're just hit Devil's Den Bivvy. It's about 7 o'clock at night. I'm just going to try and do one of these peaks around here and then back down. Like every good challenge, you need a criteria. And mine were that every peak must be above 1,000 metres tall, everyone must be named, and they should all be different. I mean, I wanted to have new experiences and didn't want to end up repeating myself. After a couple of runnable peaks near Christchurch, I headed down to Wanaka, where things got a little steeper. Wanaka is one of New Zealand's hidden gems, nestled next to glacial lakes. It's just some of the most amazing scenery down there, and some huge mountains to boot. The New Zealand Department of Conservation, along with heaps of volunteers, do an amazing job on trail maintenance. There was a spot available on a helicopter for the opening of Old Ghost Road, a resurfaced miners' trail on the west coast. I just had to take the seat. I'm from England, where the tallest peak is Scafell Pike, weighing in at a pretty unimpressive 978 metres high. So was I totally mad? This challenge was to climb each peak higher than 1,000 metres. Was I being a bit too ambitious? I actually started out not telling anyone about my challenge. I mean, I didn't even know whether I could manage 2 peaks, let alone 52. I wasn't really known for my regular training either. That's why I'd started the challenge, to keep my brain interested. And it was tough going to start with, as the majority of the peaks were solo missions, just me and the mountain.
Rule number 1. Swear lots.
After that momentary lapse of concentration in the wet, I took a trip to the North Island to see the amazing views of the Kapiti Coast, and I definitely wasn't disappointed. On the trip back down to the South Island, I remembered a book I'd read a few years ago called Feet in the Clouds, about a journalist who'd taken up fell running back in the UK. And to my surprise, I was taking that one step further, running with my feet well above the clouds. It was awesome. It still took a bit of getting used to, heading up the side of these scree-covered monsters. These were some of the toughest climbs I've had to endure on any run, with my legs screaming as I attempt one of my highest peaks yet, away over 2,000 metres above sea level. And even though for the next few peaks I was freezing cold and on my own, there was always time for an interesting celebration. My legs were giving up going week after week after week, destroying myself. But this was a great opportunity to spend more time tramping in the hills with friends, at a slower pace, but way more demanding routes. Unfortunately, my first venture into the backyard of Beyond wasn't very successful. My first failed attempt after 19 weeks of adventure, but it didn't let it get me down, as I pushed through the next 3 weeks, ticking off 3 peaks, even a sneaky birthday peak for peak 21.
Snow's 40-50 centimetres deep. Right, let's make our way down there.
After clinging for dear life on the side of the mountain and running back down, the snow fell, and fell hard. I'd now chalked up 2 failed attempts, but my first overnight camp of the year and first ever time in snowshoes led to one of the most picturesque peaks of them all. I was really a total novice in the snow, but I grew in confidence on the brutal climb up. Snowshoeing uphill is one of the most tiring things ever. With clear skies, the night was so cold, when we awoke, I wasn't very happy to find that my boots were totally frozen. But still, that's no excuse not to dance on the summit. And that ridge run down was something from another world. The winter weather caused havoc on the trails, and I was stopped short of another peak, putting me 3 behind now. So I went back to the drawing board and planned an ultra-distance 55-kilometre run around the village of Castle Hill, and got 3 in one go. After that confidence boost, I turned to mountaineering in a group to tackle the highest peak in the challenge, Mount Manukau. It was safety in numbers, and I didn't have the alpine skills necessary to go solo that high in the snow.
About 2,600 metres. Summit's just up here.
Totally shattered, and having run out of water hours ago, we made a beeline to the nearest river to refuel before the next peak. It was now mid-August. I flew down to Queenstown to meet a friend, and treated myself to one of the local peaks, Ben Lomond. It was the first time I felt a little bit insecure on one of my runs. The ridge was icy and I was underprepared. I learnt my lesson, packed my safety gear, and I was ready for some more snowy summits. Another peak in the foothills was a great refresher for the legs, but I just couldn't get enough of the mountains, their mighty slopes and the exposure that came with it. I was in awe and had to get back out there. With a little help from some of my friends, we escaped to yet another winter wonderland. Then came the rush. 12 weeks to go and 17 peaks to complete. I panicked. I was now so invested in the challenge, I decided to go running mad and push hard for the finish line. As if by magic, my legs felt fresh, and once again I could run free. I started training midweek, and I got some speed back. I also managed to string together a couple of peaks every weekend, which I couldn't have even contemplated doing in the earlier weeks. The camera work was getting old. It started off as a bit of fun, and turned into a bit of a chore. Running in the mountains was one thing, but climbing up to place the camera, then down again, then to run past the camera, and then back down again to pick it up, was just draining.
Shit, this is steep.
You might think that having run 43 peaks now, I must have spent all my awake time planning my routes, but this couldn't be further from the truth. My typical Friday night was spent trawling through topo maps and panicking about the weekends. This tactic meant I now exhausted every peak within a 90-minute drive, but it made me travel further afield and allowed me to explore areas I'd never been before, which was one of my main goals anyway. After another look at the calendar, I knew my time was running out, so another mild panic ensued, and had to go out for a midweek peak. A really early start, but I was back to work by lunchtime. With 3 weeks to go, I completed one of New Zealand's iconic Great Walks, Tongariro Crossing. My legs felt great as I ticked off 2 peaks on the way up and over the volcanic plateau. After that, it was simply a battle of numbers, but the weather had other ideas, and I had to cram 2 peaks into one weekend before a poor Christmas period of rain and storms. I was hoping for a nice weather window for my final ascent. I got it, and the rest is history.
It's not the one I wanted. I wanted to do Mount Vimeo in Mount Cook National Park. It was Edmund Hillary's first peak. I just wanted it to be something I could finish on. But instead, I'm in Arthur's Pass, doing Avalanche Peak. It should be a pretty good day. Unfortunately, the weather's rolling in.
What a feeling, what a relief. 52 weeks of pain, stress and fatigue all went away. I'd beaten my demons and I'd done the unthinkable. So that got me thinking, what next? Well, for that, you'll just have to wait and see.